was like king of the offensive cartoon commercials.
The Flintstones. Let me plug this real quick here. All right. The Flintstones, very, very offensive.
Here we are.
Yeah. So let me share this real quick. Hey, what's the name of that law they had
100 Steelers cards.
back when?
Technology.
100 Steelers cards.
$1,000.
I can never figure out how to share it to my page. I always screw it up.
Stop it.
You click share.
No, I know that.
It's putting 10 on them. Stop it.
I think you hit share to a page once you hit share.
I've got
The
that.
only good ones are there's a couple Snell rookies in there. There's $2.
All right,
They
so
have
I've got
Woodson
that
in
shared.
Fuck.
So
The good ones average out to $10 all together. Everything else is just
there we go.
We'll talk about.
All right.
Oh, cool.
So we are back.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's that?
Not a whole lot.
Tim is downstairs again, making money. Hold on, we got a comment here. Let me see what that is. I need on this convo. You know what? You sure can, Jamie Thayer. So Jamie Thayer says that they went in on this comment. So Tim is downstairs again today because he's a little short-handed today, but it would be okay. He is downstairs, but he'll check back in periodically once he gets going. What we got today is we're going to talk about the Nirvana Nevermind cover. Would you call it a scandal?
No.
No, not a scandal.
I mean, it'd be a scandal if they had taken his. I don't know if they had broke into his house and stole the picture. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't consider it a scandal.
No scandal. No scandal. Okay. And we're going to talk about the passing of Charlie Watts from the Rolling Stones, the drummer. We're going to talk about Spider-Man: No Way Home, the trailer, and we got Ed Asner passing away from the Mary Tyler Moore show.
Lou Grant.
Yeah. So, Tim, are you back?
I am back.
He is back in black. He does have a black shirt on.
I could not remember any of Ed Asner's TV shows Sunday. I just drew a total blank.
I liked Thunder Alley, but that was mine.
I've never heard of that one.
I didn't realize he was in Up either. So
yeah.
You know, in fact, let me go ahead and pull him up. Hold on. Ed Asner passed away at the very young age of 91.
Good for him.
I just
You'd
hope
all
I
be
can...
so lucky.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Howdy.
Let me pull this up here. So, this is from Yahoo Entertainment. Ed Asner, the gruff but lovable star who played old-fashioned newsman Lou Grant on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, died on Sunday, August 29th, at the age of 91. His cause of death has not been revealed yet. Let me pull up his Wikipedia there.
Man, he is so old that being cause of death just being old, wasn't it? 91.
Yeah, I mean, you know, at that point, I mean, unless something was like tragic or something like that, I mean, you know, you kind of just leave it at he was 91. There we go, Ed Asner. Let me find it.
I got a few things I was going to see if you might want to take a look at.
Tim's always making money.
Yeah.
Let me go through his career real quick. So, of course, we got the Mary Tyler Moore show. Let me see what else he's got here. He says he also appeared as Mr. Novak in Mission Impossible. He was in The Outer Limits, The Fugitive, The Invaders. He was on Roseanne, Hawaii Five-0 with a remake.
He always seemed to just pop up. And you'd be like, oh, there's Ed. you know.
Well, you know what? For me as a kid, he was one of those actors that, just like you said, he just popped up. And for us as kids, the Mary Tyler Moore Show was one of those shows that was constantly on reruns. So the shows from the 60s and the 70s were always constantly on reruns. So, but that's where I know him most famously from, was the Mary Tyler Moore Show. I think I used to get him confused with the guy from Roger Rabbit. That wasn't the same guy? Was
Oh,
it?
Bob Hoskins? No.
Yeah, that's
it's a
what I thought.
different guy.
Yeah, he was always
Same type.
they kind of look
Similar.
yeah, they kind of look the same. Yeah. Well, since Tim is off making money, you want to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home?
Sure.
Yeah. Did you see where it was the most watched video on YouTube in its first 24 hours?
No, I didn't. I'm not surprised by
crazy.
that. I didn't see that.
Crazy. Yeah, once the video got leaked early on in that day, I kept saying, Sony's got to they got to do the trailer. They got to do the trailer. And they ended up doing so. So I've watched the trailer numerous times. Let me pull that up there. So what did you think of it?
Oh, I like the trailer. My favorite part was the Green Goblin.
When he throws the
when you see the ball roll down and then you hear that laugh. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, they show Doc Ock at the end. And the Green Goblin throws his little ball. There's a name for it, but I don't know what it is. You can see the electricity from Electro, and then you can also see the sand from Sandman.
Oh, I didn't pay that much attention.
Yeah, there's a scene in the trailer that has Happy in it, and it's showing him, and I think in the background you can kind of see the sand pop up.
Okay.
And then of course Doctor Strange. I don't think Tim's still talking. I was going to say, I can tell by his head movement that he muted himself. There, he's back. Of course, there's Doctor Strange. So Tim, you are back, right? I can see
Yes.
your microphone left. Yeah. So we were talking about the No Way Home trailer. What did you think?
I love all Spider-Man movies, actually. So it kind of gave me chills in the tail end of it. So I absolutely loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that Stephen Strange in the movie, though? Who knows?
You know what? Now that you mention
that's a good statement. I didn't think about that.
Now that you mention that, there is a in the scene in the trailer where him and Peter are on two different trains, it looks like Doctor Strange is in like black. I don't know if you caught that or not.
There's a lot of weird things about Doctor Strange in that trailer. I mean, it's only a minute and a half, but there's so many flags that just scream something's not right with the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, just the way that they have his sanctum or whatever you want to call it. It's frozen, which is weird. That was weird.
I just got a private message from Andy Hibbert, who's currently banned on Facebook right now, but he's let me know because that is definitely not Doctor Strange. So.
What did Andy get the ban for?
It's hard to say. He's probably said something inappropriate to somebody at one point or expressed his
opinion.
It
must have been Benedict Cumberbatch. He said something inappropriate too. It was probably about Doctor Strange.
He expressed his opinion in a very robust way.
Yeah. Well,
last time I checked, we have freedom of speech in this country, but I guess not. I guess not anymore.
But not necessarily on Facebook. It's a private platform. So
what? Don't defend that.
I have to, because I mean this could be a whole different show, but I've had to kick people off my Facebook groups before because they've started talking trash and talking about things that aren't appropriate for my individual group. And
that's fair. It's an individual group, but Facebook is, they're a little strict about some stuff.
They're a privately owned. They're a company. They're not a speech service. They're not a news source. They're a privately held company or a publicly traded company.
Well, there you go.
That's my opinion on it. So
yeah, just make sure you keep your clothes on and at the very least, I don't know, but
Mark's texting you right now. He's texting you right now, telling you to he's like, get that girl, shut her up. Shut her up. I can't, I'll ban her right now. She's going to Facebook prison.
Oh God.
So
I've been to Facebook jail before. It's awful.
I haven't.
Food sucks.
Didn't you get locked out of your third floor comics thing for like 2 weeks or something?
I got banned for a little while for posting a picture with a nude cover on it. Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you say that. I was telling Elizabeth earlier. When we talk about Nirvana, I'm not going to post the picture of the Nevermind album because I was afraid Facebook would throw a flag and shut it down. So, but we'll talk about that in a minute. No, I was going to ask you guys if, and of course it. Oh, you're fine, man. You're fine. I was going to ask you guys if you thought that we're going to see the three Peters, the three Peter Parkers.
I certainly hope so.
I think so.
If we're bringing Doc Ock back, and if we're bringing, and there's definitely, you can hear Willem Dafoe cackle in the background as a goblin. I hope we see the Spider-Man too. All the Spider guys.
My dude, Freedom Murphy says I'm his new Morgan Freeman. They, you know what? We're going to get. Jamie Thayer says that they want in on this. We're going to, Jamie, if you could drop your email in the comment section. We'll bring Jamie in on to see what they got to say about that. I think that, let me bring this back up. I think that they will have all three Peter Parkers.
The ports to him.
Just because, if you notice at the end of the trailer, if you notice that when Dr. Octopus says hello, Peter, in my mind, he's not going to know who Tom Holland's Peter Parker is. So I'm assuming he's talking to Tobey Maguire.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's talking to Tobey Maguire. So I'm kind of curious. Jamie, don't forget to put your email address in there. Hold on a second. William says, didn't the second Spider-Man get fired? I don't know. That James Garfield get fired?
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Why did he get fired?
I heard he didn't show up for some. I think I read that he didn't show up for some promotional stuff for the last film, so they canned him.
Oh wow. Oh
but
wow.
You know, if it's on the internet, it must be true, right? And who knows, really?
The internet is true. The internet is true. I think that all three of them will be there. My question though is, do you think that we're going to see Venom?
No.
I hope so.
And if so, will it be Topher, or will it be was it James Hardy? Is that him? Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy.
I said James Hardy. Like, no, it's Tom Hardy.
It'll
Matt
be
Hardy.
Topher.
I hope
I
not.
don't think it'll be Tom Hardy.
Topher
I wish.
Well, Topher
Both is a good point, right? Freedom said both. I mean, I guess
that's possible.
it's a pretty expensive movie you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, Topher didn't do it for me as Venom, because Eddie Brock is a bodybuilder and Topher is about my size. So not that I don't have the physique to play Venom, because I do. You know, I just on the camera here, I don't look as big as what I am in person. You know, it looks like I'm a $160 on here, but in real life, you know, I'm looking more like 230.
Wow. Wow.
And so, do you think with the Doctor Strange, you think we'll see Wanda
in Spider-Man?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
No, I don't think we will at all.
You don't think so? I think if anything, she'll show up at the end. I really do. Because if you remember at the end of
but do you think she'll actually show up, or do you think there'll be a hint of her? You know, because they could not have to pay the actor the money that they pay him to be in the movie, and they could just have something that resembles them, or you think it's them, like the trailer with the Green Goblin.
Well, with Marvel though, they're always setting up stuff. So I mean, it's
that's true.
Jonathan Lockyer says maybe at the end of the credits. I'm with him. Yeah, I'll go with that at the end of the credits.
I could definitely see them playing some sort of a hint, something like that, without actually throwing the character in somehow. but
I-
I think most of the film's going to go around the Peter Parker story. They're not gonna, it's a Marvel production, but it's still a Sony production too. So
Yeah,
they're
it's
not gonna
it's
add a whole lot
not.
of,
Yeah,
yeah, they're not going to add it. They're not going to bring too much MCU into it unless it's needed.
Well, I mean, I guess I can roll with that. I see what you're saying about that.
It wouldn't be great if Doctor Strange was actually Mephisto or somebody,
From He-Man?
or which I've also read that the Chinese market
it's
doesn't like.
Mystique. It'll be Mystique.
Mephisto's the devil in Marvel, so but
Okay.
the Chinese market doesn't allow ghosts or spirits or anything like that in their films. They ban all that. So that's why I say that you'll probably never see Mephisto or any kind of demon related character in the MCU because China is such a big market for them.
Oh, seriously? Wow, I did not know that. That's wow. So that would be kind of odd though. He couldn't show up because of that. I did not know that.
Or even better, what if it was Mysterio in a different form, or a different version of Mysterio?
Jim Cottle says he wants to see Nick Hammond in the new Spider-Man.
Why? Who's Nick Hammond?
I'm stumped on that one. Elizabeth.
I
might
don't know who that is.
Can we get a Google? Let me Google that real quick. This guy stumped me. Hold on.
The goalkeeper?
No, that's you talking about Mia Hamm? You said the goalkeeper?
Nick Hammond?
Hold on.
I don't know. I don't know who that is.
Let me Google that real quick.
Oh, the TV show.
Is he talking about just? You talking about just the
You don't have-
actor himself?
From the 70s. He's talking about, yeah.
Okay. That's sad that he stumped all three of us.
Yeah,
That's-
it is actually.
Hold on. Joel Bennett says, I think Sony will push their Sonyverse with this movie, but when Multiverse of Madness comes out, it's going to dive into the world of mutants and grow the MCU. That's a good point. That's a good point. But it just, the more that I think about who could be in the movie, the issue is the amount of time. I don't know if has anybody seen how long the movie's going to be yet. I'm not sure,
I don't know.
but kind of like Endgame, where it was 3 hours. You got to have a significant amount of time to cram everything in.
I think Joel's probably correct on this one. He says, well, he just went away on me, but he basically
right
thinks
here.
that the Sonyverse is going to push Sony's going to push the Sonyverse, but when the Multiverse of Madness comes out, it's going to dive back to the world of mutants and grow the MCU. I really agree with him on that. I think Sony's going to push their own things quite a bit, but
He says
we're have to wait till we see the Marvel version of to really
Right.
mhm. He says he heard it's a long run time. Yeah, it's going to have to be about close to 3 hours, like Endgame. It's
7
going to have
hours.
to be 7 hours.
That'd be great. We
Yeah.
get Tarantino to direct it. It'd be definitely like 6 hours
4. It'll be 6 parts.
with an intermission in the middle of it.
Did you see where they're speaking of Tarantino? Did you see where they're making another Kill Bill?
They are?
Yeah, I'm good.
I like those movies actually.
The first one was okay. The second
I think
one,
they're I think they're actually my favorite Tarantino movies.
I don't know if I pick
I
a
know.
Tarantino movie or not.
I mean, I like movies he's written but hasn't directed.
my favorite would have to be, I would say Jackie Brown.
No, I
Jackie
hated
Brown's
them.
Come on, man. What's wrong with Jackie Brown and Pulp Fiction would have to be. I don't do Django Unchained. Reservoir Dogs is okay. I mean, it's not bad or anything like that. It's just
It's an acquired taste, that movie.
It is that.
It's a good
Reservoir.
movie. It's just an acquired taste.
It's
Which
not one of those movies. I watch Reservoir Dogs every 5 to 6 years. It's just not one of those movies I can watch over and over again. Pulp Fiction, I could watch it about every weekend if I really wanted to. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
See, that's how I feel about Kill Bill. I find that I find Kill Bill so entertaining.
I like Kill Bill. It's just
I love
one
it.
of the reasons I just don't watch it a whole lot.
Well, Kill Bill, the first one, I was okay with. The second one, what got me away on the second one was when Uma Thurman sat in the back of the car for like 15 minutes going, wiggle your toe, wiggle your toe. And I sat there and I was like, yeah, I think we're good here. I don't even think I finished watching the movie, so I just couldn't.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not even
Quitter.
Yeah, I am a quitter. I couldn't finish watching it. I mean, it was very, very tough. Very, very tough. Let me so getting back to Spider-Man, I think that all three Peter Parkers are going to be there. Do you guys think that we'll see the Sinister Six? Do you think that Michael Keaton will reprise his role as Vulture?
I don't know.
I couldn't hear you. I had a train driving past me.
Tim's downstairs and he's got the mad train. I said, do you think Michael Keaton will come back as Vulture?
Oh, I hope so.
I hope so too. Let me see what this comment is. Jonathan Lockery says yes. He thinks Michael Keaton will come back as Vulture.
I hope so.
I think he will too. I think it will be one of those things
quite a
too
bit.
where he helps Peter out. Because if you remember at the end, I think it was
Right,
after-
they're
during
sort
the film.
of kind of yeah.
Mhm.
They don't hate each other.
Yeah. So, hold on. Jonathan Lockery says that the trilogy so it could return to the original. Hey, there you go. There you go. Let me pull this back up here. But yeah, I think they'll have a Sinister Six. And
I
I
think they'll
think
have one. I don't think it'll be the same Sinister Six that they teased us with a few movies ago. You know, Paul Giamatti's. I've heard he's definitely said he wouldn't take that role. They offered to him now.
What a shame.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
What a shame. We let me pull this up real quick. I want to take advantage of Tim being here. So what we'll do is Spider-Man December, I think it's December 23rd. It's when it's coming out. So the big thing that everybody's talking about, of course, is Nirvana. And like I told you guys before we even started, I didn't want to put. Let me see what this comment is. I didn't want to put the actual cover of.
That's the big thing that everybody's talking about right now.
Well, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people.
That surpasses everything else happening right now in the world.
There's big things in the world. Obviously, there's big things in the world, but
I think there are big things in the United States that are happening in other countries that are really big right now. But that's just me.
Well, yeah, there's
I'm
many
teasing
things.
you, Melvin. I'm teasing you.
there's many things that go around, but yeah, we don't. Yeah, hold on. Let me see what Joel Bennett says. Hold on. Joel Bennett says, not sure if it's true, but after this Spidey movie, they were going to have more Toby, Holland, and Andrew movies. You never know. You never know.
Oh,
I
Lord.
didn't like James Garfield. I wasn't a fan of him. And I thought that version of Spider-Man was just too geeky. I didn't like the whole skateboard thing, and it just wasn't my thing. I don't even think I finished the second one that had. Which one was the second one with James Garfield? Was it Electro?
Yeah.
And the first one was what? The villain.
I don't remember.
Was it
I
Rhino?
watched this for a while. No, it wasn't
Yeah.
Rhino. I don't remember. I haven't watched this two for a while.
I have no idea.
I didn't mind James Garfield as Spider-Man, though. I mean, I like. There's not very many comic book movies that I don't like, and I like to see different iterations of all the characters.
Well, see, you're lying right there, because if you tell me that you liked
Not lying.
the last Fantastic Four, you're a liar.
That was pretty bad. It was what it was. I stand corrected. That was a bad film. But
And I can't speak for everybody, and I can't speak for you, Tim. I can't speak for Elizabeth, but I'm gonna say that Elizabeth wasn't fond of the last Fantastic Four movie either.
I don't know. how I felt about it.
It was bad. It was bad. Come on, it was bad.
Can you name anyone that was fond of the last Fantastic Four movie? James Garfield was president, Andrew Garfield was an actor. Yes, we had a burp there, I guess.
I don't think the actors themselves were happy with the film itself. So, but so what I was saying was before Tim went away and Elizabeth hurt my feelings that let me
hurt your feelings. You made a statement about that the Nirvana thing was the biggest thing happening basically right now in the news, and I said it wasn't.
Let me clarify that. Let me scale it down a little bit.
Please do.
Okay, so I, for the most part, especially on Facebook or wherever in any social media platform, I don't do politics. So those things don't even cross my mind when I'm talking to people, because there's never a day when I wake up or anytime that I come here and Tim's here, I never look at Tim and say, you know what, he's probably a Democrat or he must be a liberal.
But I don't think I don't think I'm talking about politics. I'm talking about people dying that are American citizens.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I don't think that has anything to do with politics.
Well, you know what? I would use that segue that you just gave me, and we'll put Nirvana on the back burner.
We can talk about Nirvana all you want. I'm just teasing you that when you said what everybody's talking about right now.
Well, you know what? Well, you know, you're absolutely right, because I'll tell you why. It's because when it comes to the Rolling Stones, I am I'm not a big Rolling Stones person, just because at that time in my life when I was a kid, I was interested in other artists other than that. Let me see what Deuce Wild says real quick here. Deuce Wild says, just FYI, they're going to make the Spider-Man
Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Marvel owns him outright, so this movie is the way to get rid of the others. Notice the teaser trailer, it was in the shape of Puerto Rico. Did not notice that.
I didn't catch that, but that makes a lot of sense too. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Miles Morales is the future of Spider-Man in the MCU, I think. His first appearance is a modern key that just absolutely just exploded. The ultimate Fallout 4, the first appearance of Miles Morales at all. It's a comic book that went from $20 to $100 to now a grade 9.8 can fetch $7,000 or $8,000 easily.
Now is he part of the I guess you would say the regular timeline when it comes to the multiverse, or is he in another verse?
He is in another universe, but he's also been in the MCU universe, I think. And I might be wrong on this, but there's one movie where his uncle makes an appearance in it, and he makes a reference to his nephew Miles. That might be one of the other Spider-Man films. It might be the Andrew Garfield film, or one of them. I don't remember which one it was, but they've started laying the groundwork slowly for it.
Okay, now he's the one that they have like the cartoon and the video game for.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Into the Multiverse cartoon by Sony for a few years is absolutely one of my favorite Spider-Man films ever.
Okay. Yeah. I thought
Andrew just made Spider-Man Homecoming has reference back to Miles Morales.
See, I'm slipping here. I need to start taking notes.
We'll get Andy on the show one of these days, because Andy's knowledge based on this is a lot better than mine is.
Deuce Wild says it was an animated one. Let me take Elizabeth's segue and move it on to Charlie Watts.
Is that Voldemort?
Hey.
The drummer.
Come on, Tim.
The Rolling Stones. Tim is bad.
That is bad, that comment.
He's Michael Jackson bad. Let me find this here. Hold on. Here we go. Rolling Stone drummer. Rolling Stones drummer Charlie Watts dies at the age of 80.
Was he still actually drumming?
Yep.
Yes. He what happened was he got sick, and he took some time off because they were touring, and he took some time off. And then I don't think, Elizabeth, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think they didn't. Did they go on without him?
I don't know if they ever got a chance. I think it was like, I remember there was like a break. He was taking a break. I read the thing. And then next thing I knew, he was gone. It was like instant. It was like within like a week or something.
Yeah. Let me read this real quick about him. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Rolling Stones person or anything like in that era, like Beatles, etc. The quiet, elegantly dressed Watts was often ranked with Keith Moon, Ginger Baker, and a handful of others as a premier rock drummer. Respected worldwide for his muscular, swinging style as the Stones rose from their scruffy beginnings to international superstardom. He joined the band in early 1963 and remained for nearly 60 years, ranked just behind Mick Jagger and Keith Richards as the group's longest lasting and most essential member. Watts stayed on and largely held himself apart through the drug abuse, creative clashes, and ego wars that helped kill founding member Brian Jones, drove bassist Bill Wyman, and Jones' replacement Mick Taylor to quit and otherwise made being in the Stones as a most exhausting job. A classic Stone song like Brown Sugar and Start Me Up, I know those, often began with a hard guitar riff from Richards, with the Watts following closely behind, and Wyman, as the bassist, liked to say, fattening the sound. Watts' speed, power, and timekeeping were never better showcased than during the concert documentary Shine a Light, when director Martin Scorsese filmed Jumping Jack Flash from where he drummed toward the back of the stage. The Stones began, Watts said, as white blokes from England playing black American music, but quickly evolved to their own distinctive sound. Watts was a jazz drummer in his early years and never lost his affinity for the music he first loved, heading his own jazz band and taking numerous other side projects. So I read something the other day, and that's just a snippet of what they had on. I read something the other day that oh goodness, he said Grand Moff Tarkin. That's awful. That's awful.
That is awful.
Perfect.
I read the other day that what was it? He took pictures of every bed that he slept in, like hotels, etc. And I thought that was really weird but cool at the same time that he did that. So I'm not much the biggest Stones person, but I know Elizabeth likes them a lot.
Oh yeah, I grew up on him. I mean, Charlie Watts is one of the greatest drummers ever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a huge, huge, massive loss in the rock and roll community. I mean, it is like he's Mick, Keith, and Charlie. Those three are huge. Not that Ronnie Wood isn't. He's not one of the founding. He's not one of the original members. It's very, very, very sad. He was the one that never caused any problems. He kept the band together. They never would have lasted as long as they did without him. It's really sad. That's why I have a sense of humor, guys. It's not that I don't. I just think you're making fun of the wrong guy. It's sort of like he's a wrong person to pick on. You know what I mean? It's really disappointing.
What just that generation of music, like when I was a kid, you would see the commercials for the classic artists, like from the 50s and the 60s and things like that. And of course the Rolling Stones were always in that mix, as well as the Beatles, and of course you'd have like the Supremes and James Brown and all kinds of other artists. But that type of rock and roll, to me as a kid, I really never took a liking to. Now I will say though that I do know who they are. I do know their songs, because some of their songs, like Brown Sugar and what was the other one that I'd mentioned there in the piece? I can't remember what it was, but
Start Me Up.
Yes, Start Me Up. Yeah, Start Me Up is a song. Start Me Up is one of those songs that it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, or what type of
it.
Yes, as soon as it comes on, you know what it is. It's the same thing, like for me on a personal level, along the same lines of like Guns N' Roses' Welcome to the Jungle. As soon as you hear the riff, or even Paradise City. So it's just one of those things that no matter who you are, it's a part of history, whether it be American history or just music history worldwide. So you have to know what
Speaking
that is.
speaking of Guns N' Roses,
Mhm.
and on the 25th of August, which I think was the day after Charlie died, I think he died on the 24th. They were in California on tour, and they during their concert they put a huge on the screen in the background is a huge picture of Charlie Watts, and they sang "Knocking on Heaven's Door." It was spectacular. It was really cool.
Tell me you were going to say
I would have liked to have been at that concert.
I'd
I was
seen
never a
something about
huge
that.
Stones. I mean, just my I guess their song catalog for me doesn't go much beyond what I hear just on the radio and on standard stuff. I haven't really picked up their albums or listened really deeply into their discography too much.
Right.
But I don't dislike them, but they're not my favorite band either.
I mean, I think here's the thing. I think of all the Stones, they all have something you can make fun of. I just think Charlie was the one there wasn't anything to make fun of. He was the one that you actually there's nothing to make fun of.
That's what
I
makes
mean,
it more fun to do it.
I mean, one of the greatest things ever was Vanity Fair did an article on all the wives once, and Charlie's wife likes to paint. And she would bring the horse their horse. She would bring the horse right into the living room and paint him. And he would go to the bathroom right on the floor. I mean, it was really funny. And Charlie just was like, like, I mean, that's how laid back I think he was, So
Speaking of classic rock bands, have y'all heard anything about the giant rift that's going on between Kiss and Gene Simmons?
Yes.
David Lee Roth?
Yes.
I mean, these guys are what, 60, 70 years old?
I actually have that.
They're
I have that
still
pulled up.
That was a topic for today.
Yeah. So Tim just gave us a segue, and I actually have a piece on that I can read there. Hold on just a moment. So, but what I wanted to say though quickly about the Stones and even that era, the one thing about specifically the Beatles and the Stones is that I always love to see the pictures of them when they first started out, when they first came over here and they got big, because if you go back and look, they all were dressed in suits and they all had
they were so respectable.
Well, yeah, but I mean they kind of look like boy bands.
I don't think the Stones were ever respectable. I think they just tried to look that way. I don't think that was
signed that contract with Mephisto and look at them.
Yeah.
But what made them great, just from an outsider's perspective, is that as the years went on, they, like the other artists that last, went with the times and changed their look, kept their sound, but still tweaked it a little bit to make it sound modern wherever they were, and it's no different than what the Beatles and the Stones did. When you look at artists like Madonna and things like that, you have to keep going and keep moving and evolving throughout the time. So,
well, yeah, at that time though, when they came to this country, that was how you went on Ed Sullivan. You dressed a certain way. You were very, it was like you always dressed up. It was, now of course things changed over the years and everything like that. And the Stones' true colors came out, that they were evil and bad, that they were the bad boys, right? I mean, the Beatles were all nice and I want to hold your hand, and the Stones were like, singing about, brown sugar and stuff like that. So some girls,
as a kid, when you hear that song and when he says, "How come it tastes so good?" you go, oh.
you don't, yeah.
No, I guess the Stones would be, in modern times, would be the Backstreet Boys, and the Beatles would be in sync. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, not at all. Not in any way, shape, or form.
Well, the Backstreet Boys were the bad boys, is what I'm saying. They had the beards and all that stuff. They look like grown men.
Fair, but I mean, I don't think about it. I don't ever think about the Stones or the Beatles as boy bands, even though I guess that's what I understand. Like what you're saying, that at that time. But they're both those bands, and I'm not a huge Beatles fan. Both those bands, their songs just went beyond just like pop, catchy. There were a lot of songs that weren't mainstream songs, or that aren't mainstream songs, that are really, really good. I mean, Mick and Keith wrote a lot of those songs, you know.
Well, let me ask you guys this before we go on to Gene Simmons and David Lee Roth. Did the video of Mick Jagger and David Bowie dancing in the street creep you out just as much as it did me?
Of course, that's the whole thing, that there was something going on there. But it's when you think about the time of that video, I mean, it's so like, I remember seeing that video as a kid. I loved that video, but now as an adult, when I see it, I'm like, what happened there?
It's
Here's
bad.
a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, the Stones were an iconic band that lasted for generations, decades. Are there any current bands that you see with the same that could potentially have the same impact or same longevity as the Stones? Just mostly there is what the
I
Stones-
definitely can't answer that question because I always feel like I don't listen to any music past the Beastie Boys. Like I mean I do, but I just, you know,
That's a good
I
question.
feel like I'm just I like old music. I like, you know, I'm a big, huge classic rock fan.
That's a good question. I honestly, right off
I
the
don't
top
know.
of my head,
I can't think of it.
I can't think of one off the top of my head, but
Because now and then I go to Spotify and just play the current top 50 or top 50 current new rock songs or whatever like that. And a lot of it now just sounds like regurgitated versions of what we listen to.
Already know.
Regurgitated versions of classic rock. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of fresh input on that genre of music at all.
I mean, I think there's good current music. I don't know enough about it. I just don't.
Well,
Deuce said that if you have to ask, then you already know your answer. It's no. I mean, well, maybe there's not necessarily a band, but maybe just a singular artist. And if it's just a singular artist, I would say right now that would have to be Pink.
I like Pink. I mean, I like her a lot. I mean, I think the other thing too we have to think about is, you know, when those bands, you know, when you had Tina Turner and the Rolling Stones and you had the Beatles and you had all these Led Zeppelin, the problem was there was no social media. Do you know what I mean? I think social media and just the stuff that goes on in general that we now have access to, I think that it's hard. I think that sometimes affects an artist's longevity. Things happen. And I think those same things happened 45 years ago. The difference is no one knew about them.
Well, I think too. Go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry.
So you look at social media, it's kind of like a double-edged knife. It can be, it's both what propels the artist quickly
and takes them down.
And it's what destroys them. That makes sense.
Can you imagine if, look, this is no secret. We all know Keith Richards had a heroin problem. They all had problems with drugs, right? Can you imagine if there were social media videos of Keith Richards shooting up heroin? I mean, that would have ended. That would have been horrible. But you know, fortunately, there's nothing like that. Unfortunately, he's been clean forever, and he's outlived Charlie Watts. No one thought that would ever happen.
Well, I think another big thing too is that especially with technology, the internet mainly, is that probably within the last 10 years, I don't want to say work as hard. I don't want to say that. I don't want to disrespect anybody. I would say, I'll put it to you like this. You don't even have to tour to make your money. You can make your money off of YouTube, and you can make your money off of streaming. The artist of yesterday, before the internet, and that's even the early to mid 90s, probably the late 90s artists as well, all the way back to the 50s and whenever, is that those artists had to go out everywhere nonstop and tour to really make their money. And you have album sales, but your money is making your money is your touring. You know, that's why, you know, artists like Britney Spears is loaded, and that's why Kiss tours nonstop. That's why you have all these artists that are always touring, because that's where their money is. The artists today, where they're getting younger and they have more control of everything, and they can pretty much just put everything on the internet and go, they can make money off of YouTube by the sponsors and stuff, by the clicks and things like that, and they're streaming. So they really don't have to do anything. Now, I'm not saying they don't work as hard, because clearly not just anybody can just go on and do that. So, but you do have to have some strategy to it and some effort, but it's just different. Is what I'm saying.
No, I agree, because I think you used to, if you wanted to be an actress or an actor or a singer or whatever, you had to really work. You had to, because there was no, you had to like hunt those people down and find them and make them listen to you. Whereas now you can just put a video of yourself on YouTube and all of a sudden 1 million people can see you or 2 million people can see you. And before it wasn't like that. You had to be exposed some way. You had to throw yourself in front of that person and beg for them to listen to you. So yeah, I think it's a little different.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Tim?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just think it's different. It's just different.
I think what's kind of unique, kind of touching on what you're going with about the touring like that, up until, and especially right up till the COVID outbreak and lockdowns like that, I think we were almost in the golden age of touring bands. And I say this because a lot of the bands that I grew up with in the 90s, they were hitting the touring circuit super hard now. They're probably making more money now touring than what they did when they were in their heyday in the 90s. Mm-hmm. Because all of a sudden now their market is more affluent. The market's going to spend more for a ticket. The market's, the 18, 19-year kids they're playing to in the 90s are now, 45 and 50.
Right.
With bigger budgets. And those
That's
bands that were able to cue in on that were drawing huge crowds. Now, as far as the new artists with, coming up through social media, Joel Bennett just brought up a great fact that, that's the way it was almost like 5 years ago, but now the market's almost saturated with new talent. So they still have to do something to.
That's fair. That's fair.
Pull themselves through it.
Fair.
I mean, and you also brought up a good point that a new artist can drop a single on TikTok without being signed, and all that money goes straight to that artist and not cut up 15 different ways before it gets to them. So an upcoming artist, if they're talented, and if they're really talented not to any disrespect to artists, but if they're talented in marketing as well as they're talented musically, they can stand to make a lot more money faster for themselves versus a lot more money for
no middleman, no nothing. Yeah.
And well, that's what I mean. I think it's a different time, and we have a different, economy and everything else.
The biggest here's the fault from it. You talk about the Stones having such a deep side B catalog, basically songs that were never released, and I've kind of seen this writing on the wall for a while, I think. But with new artists being able to release a single themselves and make more money on it than what they could if they'd released an album through a distributor or label, you're going to see less music eventually. You're only going to get the top, that artist's cream, and you're going to lose the side Bs forever eventually.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even imagine if you got rid of like side B of the Stones' Tattoo You. That would be like the worst thing that ever happened.
You're gonna lose a lot of good music like that.
Right. These are really good songs that maybe weren't like, #1 hits, or weren't even something they entertained being a #1 hit. But they're actually songs that are much better than,
Yeah.
Well, just to give an example real quick before we go on to Kiss and David Lee Roth, is and just to piggyback off what Tim said, just an example of everything that Tim just said is Lil Nas X, and he paid something like $30-40 or whatever for the beat to Old Town Road, and he took that song and I think it was TikTok that he put it on, and it just blew up, and it made him into a star. From $30 or $40, whatever it was that he spent to buy the beat from someone else, and he spent $30 or $40, and in return, he is a superstar, probably making millions and millions of dollars. So that is exactly what Tim said just right there. So they're doing it. They're doing it.
Is he a superstar or a shooting star?
Yeah. Now our music is all nothing but one-hit wonders. Is that what's happened?
I worry about.
I'm gonna say that he is he's not a superstar by any means. I'm gonna say that he is a shooting star who is reaching the height and who will eventually come back down to earth. So he's making his money now, and hopefully he's doing the right things and saving his money and not doing all this crazy stuff. I mean, I'll give you another quick example of how crazy just the internet can flip you and put money in your pocket. Catch Me Outside. How about that?
She's a star. She's got a career now, doesn't she? As a
Yes.
singer?
Yeah. The girl, and if Elizabeth, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the girl from that was on Dr. Phil, and her
Cash
stage
Mouse.
name
Cash
now
Mouse.
is Bad Baby. I think that's her stage name.
I
You
have no idea what you're talking about.
remember about 4 or 5 years ago, there was the big meme that was going around. Cash Me Outside. How about that? The young girl, she was probably about 13 at the time. 13. Her name is Natalie something, and she was on Dr. Phil because she was a child that was disrespectful to her mom and all this other stuff. And what happened is after she was on that show, she got real big because she said something. Let me see what this comment is. Cash Me Outside. How about that? And what happened is that she gained all this fame from her acting out against her mother, and eventually she started making music and became a rapper, and she's got millions and millions of dollars, millions of followers. And then of course she also too, the day that she turned 18, which was just a month or so ago, she went on OnlyFans and made $1 million in one day.
I have no idea who you're talking about, but to be fair to me, I was sick for like 3 years and I didn't pay much attention to social media. So I mean, I don't know. But and
Well,
like I said, I don't listen to current music, so I don't really pay any
I've
attention.
never listened to
I'll give
anything
you
that she
that.
actually put out. I just know her from the Dr. Phil burps.
Hold on, I'm gonna get her right now. Hold on just a second. The moment I show you this, let me pull this up.
She's one of those people that were able to turn her 15 minutes of fame on Dr. Phil into an actual
To something.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you'd seen the episode of Dr. Phil that she's on, or any of the excerpts from it, you're going to think that girl's going to be in a gutter in 5 years.
Oh, right.
This girl's just on the wrong path to nowhere.
Danielle Brigolo is her name.
And maybe that was the goal the whole time. I mean, who knows?
Hey, people were smart. People were smart. Let's go on Dr. Phil. Let's go on national television and act like an idiot. And
Is Dr. Phil still on?
Well, we do that every other Tuesday, and nothing's coming. So I'm just saying. I mean, like.
Hey, well, you never know.
I
could have had people approach me with wanting to do a Gillette endorsement for my bald head. There she is, right there.
I have no idea who that is. I'm being dead serious.
Oh, you've missed out so much.
I'll have to research that. I honestly don't. I mean, I admit when I don't know something, that's for sure.
We'll have to catch you up on that. Yeah, she was on. Let me find this real quick. Hold on. Yeah, and now let me show this to you. She's got millions of dollars and millions of followers on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and
good for her. I mean,
she's doing it. So that's why in the beginning when she started doing this, like, are you freaking kidding me? And I was hating on her. I mean, I'm not even going to lie.
I think
but
kind of looks up to her now.
I do.
Well, look, that is an accomplishment. Let's be clear. I mean, if that's what she is now, and she's making all this, I mean, good for her.
She was over to parlay into.
She looks vaguely familiar there.
Yeah. So that's her now. Let me see what these comments is real quick.
It's a good thing you haven't seen her.
Dude, well said. Now that she's 18, she will be spit. She will be spit put PF. The adult industry in 2 or 3 years. Book. Well, she's already been on OnlyFans, so that's the pay-per-view adult industry right there.
You gotta think.
We could go on for forever. I'm gonna bring Casey Daly Wild up here. In her
You
defense,
could
she's
say OnlyFans is to the adult industry as YouTube was to the music industry.
there. You go. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Until OnlyFans said, "Hey, we're not going to do adult stuff anymore," and that lasted for what, 12 hours?
You sorry about that. So give me just a second, guys. Tim's internet went out, and we'll try to get things running back up and running. Tim, we are back.
All right.
I sent Elizabeth a message to say that um, internet went out. So give me just a second here.
I mean, I even paid my bill and still went out. Son of a bitch.
Yeah. Crazy. We still have people watching though. So I don't know if they can hear me or not. But we'll wait for Elizabeth to get back. Hold on just a second. I was going to sing a song, but they might ban us
You sing a song?
for my singing. maybe the train noise outside might get us flagged.
I've got the radio going in the background. I hope we don't pick that up.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that.
Yeah, they'll get you.
That's crazy. I mean, I can see if it's like an intentional voice or sound over or something like that, but when it catches like a background noise, it still cuts you out like that. That's
Yeah. We know the thing that I sent to dispute 2 weeks ago was I clicked on like fair practice or something like that.
Mhm.
So evidently they approved it and let it go because the video was still there.
that's good.
Yeah, so you dirty Facebook people. Elizabeth says that she rebooted her computer. She said she thought it was her. So what we'll do is we'll wait. We'll wait for her. I'll bring up something else. So because we can talk about what was it? Where was it at? Hold on here. We'll talk about Kiss. We'll save Nirvana for her, and we'll talk about David Lee Roth and Kiss. So just for the record, I know Van Halen. I know their music. I know, obviously, I know who Eddie Van Halen is, and obviously, I know who David Lee Roth is. I will say for the record that I think that David Lee Roth was the better frontman, and I think that Sammy Hagar was the better singer.
Oh, where you go? Shit.
Tim dropped his he dropped his iPad. So
I did some shit.
it's okay. It's okay. There you go, Tim.
There we are.
There you go.
So
I don't know
Dave
if you-
Lee's a better front man, Sammy's a better singer.
Yeah.
Good way of looking at it. That's like a non-answer.
No,
You
well,
gotta pick one. You want David or Sammy?
For if I were to see them in concert, I'd want David. If I want to listen to them on a like an album, I want Sammy. I mean, just think about this. Think of how different the two are when you hear Right Now, and then you hear there's Elizabeth. You hear Right Now, and then you hear Hot for Teacher. Two totally different things. The thing I was saying, Elizabeth, was we were talking about.
I will see it on my phone. I heard.
Okay. Is that I think David Lee Roth was the better front man, and I think Sammy Hagar was the better singer.
I called bullshit. I said he had to pick one or the other.
Well, to see in concert, I would see with David Lee Roth because he's the better front man. He's running around and he's kicking and literally jumping. And then Sammy Hagar was he's I just thought I thought he had the better voice. I thought he was the better singer. When I think of Van Halen, I mean, obviously I'm thinking of Jump and I'm thinking of Hot for Teacher, but I'm also thinking of Right Now.
Mm-hmm.
So that video alone won so many awards. It's a very powerful song, Right Now. Elizabeth,
I'm a huge fan of Van Hagar.
I can't speak too much about Van Halen because I know very little about them. I mean, this whole incident that you're referring to with Kiss and everything, my brother mentioned it to me the other day in the car and was telling me the story about it, and it was hilarious.
Well, let me pull that up real quick. Hold on. Let me bring it.
How old are those guys really?
I would say
65?
Gene Simmons has got to be close to 70. Yeah, David Lee Roth is probably 62, somewhere around there. Let me find this real quick.
At that age, you think they figure out a better way to air the differences than?
But don't you think it's just partly like just them kind of making like just sort of I mean, they've known each other a long time. I don't
I
know.
think it's just hype.
Yeah, a little bit.
Could be.
Let me pull this real quick here.
I mean, look, if we had that kind of relationship, I would be all for that. It's hilarious. Generates publicity. It's, it makes them, in the spotlight all over again. Not that they weren't ever, but
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Well, this is a report from Yahoo. So, two of rock's mouthiest showmen, Kiss's Gene Simmons and former Van Halen singer David Lee Roth, have just become engaged in a new feud. And while it seems that for now Roth has gotten in the last word 18 times, the real winners of this amusing battle are the fans following Roth on social media. Roth was the opening act for Kiss's End of the Road tour before coronavirus concerns put those dates on hold. But as Kiss resumed that farewell tour this week, Roth was off the bill and, strangely, replaced by a performance painter named Garibaldi.
A performance painter?
That's what it says. Replaced by a performance painter named Garibaldi. When asked about the lineup change in a recent Rolling Stone interview, Simmons bluntly confirmed that Roth would not be returning, insulting Roth in a way that many Rolling Stone commenters complained was uncalled for and below the belt. It bears noting that during Dave's heyday, nobody did what he did. He was the ultimate frontman, not Robert Plant, not Rod Stewart, nobody. He took being a frontman way beyond anything, Simmons began. And then, I don't know what happened to him, something. And you get modern day Dave. I prefer to remember Elvis Presley in his prime, sneering lips back in Memphis, doing all that. I don't want to think of bloated, naked Elvis on the bathroom floor, end quote. Wow. That it says on that following Friday, Roth took to Instagram to show exactly how he felt about Simmons' remarks, posting a black and white photo of a sassy boy sticking out his tongue and flipping the bird. He added the caption, Roth to Simmons, in case it wasn't entirely clear to whom the middle finger was directed. And he actually Instagrammed the photo a whopping 18 times just to ensure that it was seen by most of his 121,000 followers.
But isn't that what you expect of David Lee Roth?
Honestly,
to go above and beyond, over the top?
Yes, honestly, yes. Yeah.
I mean, right?
Sammy wouldn't do that.
But when I may not be understanding this, but I might be a little lost. I'm assuming a performance painter, or are we talking about a man with a brush? Is that what we're talking about, Tim?
Like those people that show up on America's Got Talent and they can paint and make it look like nothing, and then all of a sudden it's something. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
What was
Bob Ross?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, Bob Ross. Yeah, so that's pretty bad. Nothing says we don't like you anyway, like a performance painter.
That's very true.
Yeah.
But I expect that of Gene Simmons.
Well, Gene Simmons throughout the years, I mean, he didn't hold anything back. He's always been very vocal about how he feels about other artists. Like one of the things with Gene Simmons is that he opposes very much artists that aren't rock and roll getting inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The sight of rappers like NWA and things like that getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has made Gene Simmons very vocal. He does not like it at all. So it's just one of those deals where they should, according to him, it should be the Music Hall of Fame, or everyone should have different, genres or whatever to be elected into. But I don't know.
It's no secret around the store that I'm not a Kiss fan. I mean, I don't like their music. I mean, they come out looking like this big demonic heavy metal band. They come out singing Beth, and I think it's the biggest disappointment ever. I mean, why?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. When I was a kid, before I knew who Kiss was, as far as like hearing their actual music, you see pictures of them, and they look like the devil. And then you hear their music, and you're like, so what happened? What's going on there?
Oh, it'll be here somewhere in the song. There's something that'll come eventually.
Yeah, not big.
What they look like, Tim said, they look demonic and they sound like I don't know, a mix of Aerosmith and
NSYNC.
Maroon 5. And I like Aerosmith. I'm just saying, you know, you can't come on stage looking like you just eating somebody, burnt their body and things like that, and then you're singing about you want to
Wait
rock
a
and roll
minute.
all night.
I'm just watching
Wait a
Wizard's
minute.
face when
Oh,
he says
here
it.
it comes.
Wait. Clearly, you can, because he's Gene Simmons, and here we are talking about him. So clearly, you can dress up like that,
Sure.
come out and sing what you sing, and survive and be considered, you know, one of the greatest
Successful.
bands ever. So
Yeah.
and I'm not a big Kiss fan. I have a lot of respect for it. I just don't know anything. I'm not a big Kiss fan.
I gotta say, I lost a little bit of respect with Kiss when I found out that, and I don't know their names, so you definitely be correct on this, but you know, Gene Simmons and was it the guitarist owned the band,
Ace Frehley.
and the drummer and the bassist are just hired hands.
Well, the
Something like
original,
that.
there's Gene Simmons, there's Ace Frehley, there's Peter Crisp, and I can't think of what the fourth guy's name is.
But the majority of the band belongs to Gene Simmons. I mean, and there's two members that have really no say whatsoever. They go dressed up and they go play, and they don't have any input. They don't have any residual from it. They just get their paycheck and they go home. They're
wow.
not actually Kiss. They're, you know, what Gene Simmons wants them to be.
Wow.
And to me, I look at the big bands, the great bands, and you look at the Stones, and you know, they might replace members throughout their career for various reasons, but were any of them just hired hands, or were they all creative? Did they all have creative input into the band?
Yeah.
What it sounds like from Kiss, it's Gene Simmons' band. Everyone else is just along for the ride.
Yeah,
That's right.
It's possible. Well, Ace Frehley did have a solo album, I believe, in the 80s. I think he was one of the guitarists. He did have one, but he's the one that I believe Ace Frehley is the one with the star on his face, and then the guy with the whiskers was the drummer.
That's the Cat.
Is that the Cat? Yeah,
Cat.
it's the Cat. Kitty Cat.
I could probably find their solo records over here somewhere, but
I was kind of wondering why all the Kiss dolls in Tim's store here I was wondering why their heads are missing. So
Why the boxes are open and they're not really worth anything anymore.
all the heads in my store.
Well, they could be. That's what those bargain boxes are that he has the sales on. There's just Kiss stuff.
Y'all seen the jar of heads I keep? Oh, y'all want to hear a funny story?
Yeah, I saw it.
Y'all want to hear a funny story?
Sure, go ahead.
Kind of not related to anything, actually. But on my back porch of the store, I keep a freezer, meat freezer. Inside the meat freezer, I keep project pieces for the creepy room.
I'm never coming to Nitro. Okay, I'm just letting you know right now.
Like as of last month, what was in the freezer was a red fox and a aborted puppy fetus.
Oh.
The aborted puppy fetus, it was a large dog and a small dog, and the vet decided that the dog couldn't have that because it would have killed the mother dog in the process. It's deformed. So a friend of mine that works at the vet, we made a transaction. And I ended up with this thing. Someone stole it out of my meat freezer. When it was wrapped up, it looks like a tenderloin. So one of the backpackers, one of the bums around town, stole this meat package out of my freezer, and they took it somewhere, expecting, I guess, a steak or some tenderloin. And what they got was an aborted puppy fetus.
Oh.
I would have loved to have a seat around that campfire.
Oh man, that's bad.
Okay, as bizarre as that is, I'm still trying to figure out why you have it to begin with. That sounds like some straight up serial killer stuff. I'm just saying.
One of the rooms in our store is what we call the creepy room, and I keep all of our obscurities and obscuria.
Yeah, give your weird stuff. I get it.
So,
sex robots.
Yeah.
So when someone asks me if I want to buy that, well, yeah, because that'd be a great wet specimen for the creepy room. I just hadn't had the chance to actually do the work to it yet.
What was the brains that you had downstairs in the jar a couple years ago?
The human brains. Yeah.
No, it wasn't a human. It was something else. It was something that you could actually eat. It was
Pig brains.
yeah. He had a jar of pig brains downstairs.
I found that at a grocery store in Fayetteville. That whole section of it.
Fayetteville.
Not North Carolina, but he's talking about
Pig
the
brains
Fayetteville.
in milk sauce.
Ugh.
It's like eating potted meat. It's awful.
I think I'm good. Well, let me pull up this last one here with the Nirvana, and again, I want to say that I purposely did not use the image of the Nevermind album with the baby floating, the naked baby floating in the water toward the dollar bill. So let me pull this up real quick. Let me find it real quick. By the way, while I'm pulling this, why don't you guys give yourself some shout outs there at Elizabeth at Bakehard Bimbra on Facebook.
Bakehard by Bimbra. And
Bakehard
you have
by
a cake
Bimbra.
for me to show. So
Oh, that's right. That's right.
whenever you get a chance.
That is right. Let me find
If
this.
there's anybody left to see it at this point,
Well,
it'll be the three of us.
We'll see it.
Go watch the reruns.
It'll be the three of us and my mom.
Hello, Mom. Let me find it here. Nirvana. Here we go. All right. So I have found it. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right. This is from Variety. Let me make sure that's muted. Okay. So man photographed as a baby on Nirvana's Nevermind cover sues Nirvana, alleging child pornography. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with the cover of Nevermind, which I'm sure everyone is, some of us probably didn't know what it was. But anyway, it's got the picture. It's got the picture of the baby in the pool, and it's swimming toward a dollar bill on a fish hook, and the baby is completely naked, exposing his nether regions. So Spencer Eldon, the man whose unusual baby portrait was used for one of the most recognizable album covers of all time, Nirvana's Nevermind, filed a lawsuit Tuesday alleging that the nude image constituted child pornography. The album cover depicts Eldon underwater in a swimming pool as a then infant with his genitalia exposed. The image has generally been understood as a statement on capitalism, as it includes the digital imposition of a dollar bill on a fish hook that the baby appears to be enthusiastically swimming toward. Non-sexualized nude photos of infants are generally not considered child pornography under law. However, Robert Y. Lewis, Eldon's lawyer, offers an unusual interpretation of the image to argue that it crosses the line into child porn, writing that the inclusion of currency in the shot makes the baby appear like a sex worker. Defendants intentionally commercially marketed Spencer's child pornography and leveraged the shocking nature of his image to promote themselves and their music at his expense, reads the lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court's Central District of California and obtained by Variety. Defendants used child pornography depicting Spencer as the essential element of a record promotion scheme commonly utilized in the music industry to get attention, wherein album covers pose children in a sexually provocative manner to gain notoriety, drive sales, and garner media attention and critical reviews. The cover art subject, who, like the Nevermind album itself, is now 30, is asking at least $150,000 from each of the defendants, who include surviving band members Dave Grohl and Chris Novoselic, if I'm saying that correctly, Courtney Love, obviously for Kurt Cobain, the executor of Kurt Cobain's estate, Guy Oshari, if I'm saying that correctly, Heather Perry, managers of Cobain's estate, photographer Kirk Weddle, art director Robert Fisher, and a number of existing or defunct record companies that released or distributed the album in the last 3 decades. And of course, it goes on. So my question to you guys, look at Tim. Tim, I actually had an idea to put it on there like that, to cover it with a smiley face or something. So I think Tim had to walk away, but because he muted himself. So my question to you, Elizabeth, is what do you think of that?
I think it's crap.
Yeah.
I mean, was he suing his old man? Because he's the one that got the $200 for him to do it.
Yeah, I mean, they gave his parents.
He paid his dad.
Yeah, they gave
so if any, I mean, here's my thing: his dad was paid $200 to let his kid to throw it, as they put it, to throw your kid in the drink. So he threw him in the water, and they took a picture of him.
Right.
And he was compensated for it. What my question, I guess, was, did the guy know? Did the father know that it was going to go on the cover of an album for a band? That would be, I guess, my question. Then my other question is oh God, well, I just lost my train of thought. My other thing was the guy who's suing them. You know, he's reached out to the band members over the years, like casually, and they ignore him. They should have not. They shouldn't have ignored him. That's now you're dealing with a problem, right?
Yeah, that's probably what started it. Yeah, I think too. This is what gets me is that he's gone previously over the years to commemorate the album, and
I know exactly what you're gonna say. Yeah.
He's posed with the pictures, and he's probably gotten money for signing the album covers and things like that. So here's what bothers me about that is to a degree I can understand where the complaint is coming from as far as the actual suit itself. And I'm not talking about being compensated with the money or anything like that. I'm just saying that unfortunately, as time goes on, sometimes things that we would look at years ago as harmless, our view on that may change as time goes on. I get my problem with the suit is that it'd be different if he never went around as an adult,
recreating it.
Yes, recreating the pictures and posing with the albums, and I'm sure without a doubt that he's taking money for taking a picture with it and signing it, and you know how interviews go. A lot of times when people get interviewed, they get thrown money to be interviewed to begin with. So I'm sure that he's been paid to conduct interviews about the album. I'm sure that he's been paid to sign autographs for the album. So what is it that we're trying to accomplish here? That's my question for him. What is it that he's trying to accomplish?
I think too now our you know, we're so offended by absolutely everything. It doesn't matter what you say, somebody's offended by it.
Right.
And it didn't used to be that way, okay? Mm-hmm. And I think people are getting away with, oh, well, I think I was fired because of this, or I think that this was done to me because of this. I'm going to sue for it. Because here's the thing: what have you got to lose?
Right. Yeah. And if anything, you gained some notoriety.
It's not like he's famous and he's going to lose, like, you know, a contract with so and so. He, you know, I mean, instead of thinking about it kind of like this, hey kid, you're on the cover of one of the most famous albums ever, you know, and not only famous album, but album cover of all time. Why wouldn't you just be like happy about that? Like, oh, how cool is that? I mean, yeah, I get it. He's a little peeved off that he's naked, but I mean,
yeah, it's and I think what happens is that you have these people that you have these you know, lawyers or whatever that come along and say, hey, you know what, I can get you some money for that.
Yeah, because what I can't figure out is why is he only suing for $150,000 a person? I mean,
I don't know. And the sad thing is that according to what I read is
if you're going to go for it. You know,
yeah, he's even going after a guy that wasn't even in the band when the album came out. I believe I think the guy was on the Bleach album, the album before. Never mind.
Right. So I guess my question is, that guy, has he profited from singing songs with the band that were on that album?
Probably so, and that's
That's
probably
why.
Yeah, it's probably why.
I mean, I guess that would be what his lawyer is going to argue, that man has profited off of that album, and that album wouldn't be as famous as it was if there wasn't this kid naked on the cover of it.
It just bothers me as a whole. That there's a hand. I saw a hand. He probably had to. I think he just muted us too. I don't know, but it just bothers me as a whole when people see the dollar signs for whatever it is they're trying to accomplish, and instead of if it'd be different for me if he just flat out was like, look, I'm not feeling that. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. If anything, if we're still producing these albums, change the cover. That's one thing, you know what I mean? But to flat out, I don't know. It's just weird.
I think the child pornography thing is a little bit of a, I don't know, fight for something else. Fight for a commission of every, a small percentage of every album that was sold. I don't know. I mean, fight for, but that whole the child pornography thing, that's a terrible label to attach to them. I mean, years from now, when no one, that story will get so changed over the years, it'll be like they were sued because they did child pornography. I mean, that's the thing, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's very the oddest thing for me, and I'll say this again, the oddest thing for me is that how do you go from taking pictures with the album as an adult?
I agree. That's the thing that bothered me about the whole thing.
And recreating that image as an adult. And then a little while later, oh, by the way, I'm going to sue you. I don't know.
Like if he had sat back and been quiet for many, many years and never did an interview, never wanted to talk about it, had been, bothered by it his whole life. And, that's different. I mean, right? I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just as simple as that it's bothered him his whole life, but then he decided to make a quick buck off it, thinking I'm not talking about the suing, but doing the recreating the picture and stuff. Maybe he thought it might make him feel better. I don't know. Maybe the money has made him feel better and he wants more. I'm not really sure.
It's possible. It's possible.
I'm not really sure. I mean, they're hundreds of thousands of people that are on album covers and inside albums who, aren't suing people for anything. You know what I mean?
It's crazy. Look at Tim. Tim's dropping us on the floor. Let me plug.
I don't want to get sued for that. I don't know. It seems like it just seems like, I don't know.
All right, let me see if that's right. Did I get that right?
You did.
Awesome. Hey guys, don't forget to you can check out on Facebook at Bake Hard by Bimbra.
Or Instagram.
Or Instagram, that's correct. Yeah, I forgot about that. Or Instagram.
That's how you found me.
Yeah, or Instagram. Let me put her I think this is the Venom cake, is that correct?
It's my most current cake, yeah.
All right. So she made this kick-ass Venom cake. And if you want to describe it there at the top.
Yeah, it's a little blurry in the photo from Melvin. It's a Ravens football player turning into Venom, and it says "We are Baltimore," and then the sides are covered in melted black marshmallow, so it looks like Venom is trying to sort of infect the cake. It was for a friend of mine who owns a comic book store. He's a diehard Ravens fan, so
that looks really
that's what I created for him. It was the original art is by Todd Napier.
That looks very, very awesome. Very.
It took forever to do. No, I'm not kidding. Melvin, the top was 16 hours.
Goodness. So guys, don't forget you can check her out and all her cakes, and and things. You can see her on on Instagram
Or
and then-
Facebook.
or Facebook. Yeah, Bake Hard by Bimbra on Facebook. I'm not sure. I'll sign off for Tim. I'm assuming he's going to have a Friday night sale. I don't know what.
Yeah, I wasn't on the last one, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. He didn't say like I wasn't there to hear him say, "We'll see you next Friday," or "We're taking next Friday off." So I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm sure he'll post it on his feeds. But I don't know what he's doing. So we'll have to do that on Facebook. So, but we're gonna roll out of here because Tim clearly Tim's busy. He's downstairs by himself today. So don't forget Bake Hard at Bimbra on Facebook and on Instagram. There we go. Check her out, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks, and hopefully Tim gets situated where he's got some people downstairs. So we will see you guys in a couple weeks. And Elizabeth, if you want to hold on there, and we'll see you 2 Tuesdays from now.
Bye, guys.